Hey there, folks, and welcome back to Imago Spiritual Learning and Wellness. Um, I'm continuing here with the theme of what happens when your religion dies, when your belief system collapses, and um, and this is for anyone of any age group. You know, whether you're currently a member of what we call Generation Z, or if you're over 40, or over 50, or 60, or 70, whatever it may be. Um, but especially for just for anyone for whom the old belief system that maybe you were raised with does not fit anymore because of the way that your consciousness is evolving, uh, because of the way that your outlook on life is changing, because of the way that whatever it may be that's producing this shift, it could be a prelude to a very powerful transformation, and I really want you to know that. So, I shared in my last video what my process was like and how painful it was for me um, when my belief system collapsed. And in my whole world and my whole identity also died with it. And a big part of that also was losing the fellowship that I was a part of. You know, there were many people that I had grown to love and still do love and care about. And they, that fellowship I was no longer a part of as time went on. After this pivotal moment that I experienced where, again, my old belief system kind of, it just fell apart. And so not belonging to that community anymore and not having a sense of community was also a big part of my pain. So there was loss of identity, um, loss of how I uh, conceived of myself and how I related to the world and to life and to Creator. A big source of pain as well was I knew that I would be losing out on that fellowship because I knew that the folks in their sincerity, and I don't fault them at all. I cannot fault them for, if they cut me off, and some certainly did. Um, I couldn't do that because I I get it. I understood at the time. It's all part of the religious training that they received, and so I understood, and I did not hold it against them. But for me, that support system, when it fell away, that was that induced just another layer of pain and anxiety and worry and a sense of meaninglessness for me in my life personally. So I lost that fellowship. Um, Eventually, in time, my wife and I had divorced. So she and my stepdaughter and my mother-in-law, you know, that was a loss there as well. And I found myself alone and physically alone. But I had already been feeling internally, mentally, emotionally, spiritually alone because I also feared greatly that I would be cut off. Again, this is because of the belief system that I had subscribed to at the time, but I really did fear that I would be cut off, if you will, by Creator. Um, Yet I knew that for myself that I couldn't go back, and not having anything to move forward to was beyond frightening, beyond frightening, and And if you're going through this, again, like I shared in my last video, I get it. I have some idea of what you're going through. And I know that it's not easy, and it's not going to be easy for some time. And for those of you for whom it is easy and it's simple and awesome, good for you. You have a strength that I did not have at that time. But for the rest of us that are struggling, have struggled, or will struggle with this, I get it. And so, and especially the older that you are, let's say if you're over 40 years of age going through this. Now, at the time when I went through it, I was, 30, 31. Yeah, 31, I think. And so, things are really settled within us, by that age. But they become more settled the older that we get, right? So into our 40s and 50s, things really settle within us. And to give up old habits and old habits of thinking becomes increasingly difficult the older that we get. But if you are over 40 and you have gone through this or are going through this, or you're beginning to feel the initial tremors of this kind of shift, I'm just here to encourage you, in spite of the fact that you are going to feel fear, and I can tell you from experience, don't be afraid. You're not abandoning Creator. Creator is certainly not abandoning you. That's impossible, in fact, because Creator lives in us, within us, through us, as us. Our very breath and the very source and substance of our being is Creator. Spirit, there's only one Spirit, right? Holy Spirit. Holy comes from the Greek word holos, which means whole, and Spirit comes from the Greek word spiros, which means breath. So whole breath, the whole breath, and breath is life, and so the whole life, it's one Spirit, and it's individualized as through each one of us, but it's all one Spirit. So that's why I say that it's impossible for you to be abandoned or forsaken by Creator. That's not possible. It's not possible. But because of the belief system that we have been conditioned and programmed with, we have these ideas, and we're going to have to get settled, with those ideas, in terms of, we have to settle those questions that might arise and those doubts that might arise within us. Get them settled and resolved so that we can move on. And that's not an easy process. And however, having been through it and now seeing it from the other side of it, this is a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful thing that you're going through. As painful and as scary as it is absolutely beyond beautiful. Any birth process, any new birth is preceded by labor pains of some kind. You put the seed in the ground, and the forces converge and apply their pressure on the seed, and the seed in its form is no longer, because it is destroyed. So you can imagine all the turbulence that happens at that level if you were the seed, where what you know yourself to be is completely destroyed and done away with. And that must happen in order for there to be a new growth, a new birth. So what you're going through is a birth. It's a new birth, and it's a wonderful, wonderful process. Again, in spite of the fear, there's no denying it, in spite of the pain, and in the sense of loss, and the doubts, and the torments that your mind is going through. There's absolutely no doubt that this is just the introduction to something new and something beautiful. Again, imagine the child within the womb, right, about to be born, and all of the convulsions that begin to happen in the womb, as everything shifts to prepare for the expelling of the child and the birth of the child. And as painful as that is, that mothers go through, that women go through when they're giving birth, as painful and as stressful, and at times as I'm sure as scary as it might be, probably not in every single case, of course, but in general, certainly, typically, as scary as that might be and as painful as that is, all that pain and fear is completely forgotten when the baby emerges and is resting on the mother's breast, and all she's experiencing is just that pure love and that joy, that bliss that's beyond. It so far surpasses whatever pain and that she had to endure prior to the birth, to the emergence of the baby. That's it's so far beyond all that love and that oneness. And that's what you're going through, is you're going through a birth. And it's you being born, reborn. It's you that's emerging. The real you, the genuine you, the eternal you, the transformed you. That's what's emerging. And it's emerging into this oneness. Because ultimately that's the aim, especially here on this planet, where duality, we live in the perception of duality, and that's, it is what it is. It's not good or bad. It is what it is. And but that duality can go in one of two directions. It can go toward the unity, or it can go toward the enmity. And the unity, it's all included in the unity. The oneness is all. So it can go in one of the two directions, toward the amity or toward the enmity, right? And in the middle is duality. So those are the distinctions in terms of how I think of them. And I'll share more about that later in later videos. But the unity, it's all part of the unity. It's all part of the oneness. The oneness is the container of all. It is the container of amity, duality, and enmity, all of it. And so there's no escaping the oneness. Now what we're being born into is the awareness of the oneness, that you and Creator are one, and you always were. Maybe now through this, through this realignment of the self, maybe now there can be perhaps the the emerging of the awareness that you and Creator were never separate, that you and Creator were always one. And now we're just coming into the awareness of that. And that awareness begets new possibilities, grander possibilities than the old belief that we were separate from Creator and that we had to be reconciled to Creator through this or that, different means. And yes, there is, the idea of sacrifice is not physical sacrifice as of animals or humans and such, but what needs to be given up, right? That's valid. We have to give up certain things, and crucify the self, the lower self, right? These are valid ideas that did not even originate really with Christianity. They predate Christianity. But anyway, that's not the point here. I don't want to get into all the technical aspects of it. The point is you and what you're going through and what you're being born into. It's beautiful. Trust the process, and it's a process, and you're going through the process. Trust that process. It may not make sense to you, but you're being carried through something, and trust it. Trust the universe. Put your trust in Creator, whatever you conceive Creator to be. Put your trust in a loving, supportive universe. And notwithstanding still there is an indifference to things, certainly. But we can frame things in our imagination so that it serves us in a way that we feel supported, because we are creators and we can conceive thoughts and ideas and frame them and frame them in such a way that they do serve us, but without being deluded and without lying to ourselves. And there's a lot of nuance, there's a lot of subtlety in that, layers upon layers upon layers with what I just shared. It's not as simple as the way I just shared it, but I need to simplify it for the sake of this, to keep this video brief and to keep things kind of in more of a direct line of thought. So we have to be as simple as possible, so that, because eventually we will deal with the complexities and the subtleties, and they are many, 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 many layered, and not so easy, not so simple to grasp. Yet there is a thread of simplicity that we can hold to, a lifeline, if you will. But anyway, so trust the process. I encourage you in the process because it's wonderful. The outcome is going to be absolutely, you will know a peace, you will have a peace that truly goes beyond understanding. So, so many blessings to you, many blessings to all that pertains to you. Thank you so much for taking this time, and we'll meet again soon. All right, stay blessed.